What's up, guys? Thanks for coming back. So, today, a little bit of something different. I don't believe I've talked about Linux on this channel at all. So, today, I wanted to show you 10 Linux commands that I feel are important. Especially, this is pretty much geared toward people who are just getting their feet wet with Linux, trying to figure out what the terminal or command line is all about. And so, these 10 commands that I'm going to show you are not in any necessary order of importance. They're not the top 10 commands on, some recommended list anywhere. It's just the top, not, I can't even use that word. It's just the 10 commands that I feel are important, especially for somebody just starting with Linux and kind of trying to navigate the command line, or as Linux calls it, the terminal. And so that's what we are in now, is a Linux terminal. Some refer to it to the command line. You're not wrong either way. So let's just go ahead and get started. So the first command that I want to show you is the ls command. And ls simply means list. So if you hit ls, it will show you this nice little list of all of your folders. If there are any files here, it would show you the files as well. But I've just got folders here. And so it's pretty simple, and it just, again, it lists the contents of your current working directory. It shows you what's there. Now, if we were to take that a little bit further and we do the ls minus L switch, well, the minus L switch just means list. So while this is, kind of a list, this is actually listed out. And it shows, as you can see, it has some more information, file modification times and read-write permissions on, what these folders or directories, what permissions they have, etc., etc. Let's take it a little further. Do ls minus lt. I obviously did that wrong. So let's do ls minus lt. Perfect. We are back in order here. Now, this gives us the same little list, but this will also show you the modification times. Oldest to newest. So newest being on top, oldest at the bottom. Now, on top of that, if we take it even further, yes, there are multiple different flags and switches you can use with the ls command. So let's take it further, ls minus ltr. And this is basically LT, but the R flag that we've added here means reverse. So as you see up here, this will show you the modification, time of modification, and it will list it as the newest file that was modified first, and it'll be in that order with the oldest at the end. LTR reverses that, and so it will show you the oldest modified up top, newest modified at the bottom. I use LTR a lot because with my job, generally what I'm doing is I'm looking for, say for instance, logs, and I want to see the newest ones. And so I do a minus LTR, and then I look for anything at the bottom because I know that is the newest stuff. And if you're looking for logs, you want the newest stuff, and so you can kind of try to troubleshoot an issue by looking at those logs. So those logs will always be newly modified. So I do LTR and just look toward the bottom. And that's pretty much it for, it's not completely it for ls. That's all I'm going to show you. Like I said, there are more flags and switches you can use with ls. But just to recap, you got your ls for basic list, ls minus L, which shows you a nice little list with all the details. Ls minus LT gives you the time modified in newest to oldest order, and if you want to reverse that, you do LTR, and that will show you oldest to newest, with the newest being on the bottom, easier to find. And that's pretty much it for that. So there's actually three different commands to the ls that I wanted to show you. So it's kind of a bonus there for you. Now, the next command I want to show you is, it comes in handy quite a bit if your screen's filling up like ours is and you want a clean slate, simply type clear and hit enter. That will give you a nice clean slate and you can start over. And we'll probably do that a couple times here just to have a nice clean workspace here. So after that, the next command I want to show you is pwd. And pwd stands for print working directory. So if you type pwd and hit enter, this shows you where and what directory you are currently working from. So we are at home/Kali, which is my username. And so that is my current directory. And if we go one step back, what's in that directory and how do we do that? Well, you list it out. And that shows you everything in your current working directory. So again, pwd, print working directory, shows you where you are. So if you're in the middle of something and you're just doing a lot of work and something comes up, you're like, wait a minute, where am I even at? How do I see where I am? Again, pwd, print working directory. So easy peasy on that one. So the next one that we're going to go to is the cd command. CD stands for change directory. And the way that we use this, if you look up here, I listed this out. In fact, let's list this out first. I want to make sure we're still in our directory we want to be. I'm going to list this out. And here are all of our directories that are within our current location of home/Kali. So say, for instance, I wanted to change directories into desktop. So what I would do is type cd space and desktop. And just a real quick tip, Linux is case sensitive. So since this has a capital D at the front, you have to type that down here. So you are given it the command cd, which means change directory, and you're telling it what directory. So cd desktop, hit enter. Now you see this little thing pop up here, and that basically tells you the name of the current directory that you switched into. And if we list this out, it will show us what is in this directory. This is a file that I created a long time ago. And again, pwd. So where are we? Since we changed into this directory, we're at home, Kali, desktop. So that's pretty easy on that one. So now, say for instance, you don't want to be in this folder, in this directory anymore, but you are. How do you get out? Also the cd command, space, and instead of the directory name, you just hit ... and enter. And that will back you up one folder. As you can see, you hit pwd, and you are now back to home and Kali. While you were in there, you were in home Kali desktop. So doing the cd ... pushed you back over into here. It just took you back one. So that's pretty easy. Let's go ahead and clear the screen again. Okay, so we have learned the ls commands, the clear commands, the pwd for print working directory, the cd command to change directories, and I showed you cd ... to go back a directory. So now what we're going to do is the next command is touch. And the touch, as you can probably see from the command line history here, touch basically enables you to create a file. So say for instance you wanted to create a text file, you would type touch and then the file name with the .text extension. So in this example, I'm just going to do touch and just name it file creation.text. And so hit enter. You don't see anything happen, but if you go back to our ls command, you see the file that you created right here. So you've created your very first file in Linux. But say for instance you decided, okay, I don't want that file. I'll do that later. I'm going to try something else. So how do you get rid of that? That takes us to our next command. So you will use the rm command, which stands for remove, space, and then you will type the file name, file creation.txt, and you simply hit enter. And again, you don't see anything happen, but if you list this out, you no longer see file creation.txt the way that you did up here, because you gave it the rm for remove and the file name command, and you removed it. And once you listed it out, you no longer see it in there. So that's how you delete a file. Now the next command is, you guys see these here, these are all directories. And if you recall earlier, we used cd to go into the desktop directory. But what if you want to make another directory? What if you want to, say, hey, I need a desktop 2. Let's just use that. So to make a directory, you would go mkdir space and then give your directory a name. We're going to name it desktop 2. And again, you don't see anything happen, but if you go back to the first command that we learned, ls, you actually see the directory you just made. So far you've been successful at creating a file, deleting a file, creating a directory. Now, how do you delete a directory? Do we just use rm? It would seem like you kind of do, because that's what we did with the file, but you don't. The next command that I want to show you is rmdir, and that stands for remove directory. And so we do the rmdir, and then you tell it what directory. In this case, desktop 2, because that's what we want to remove. Again, you don't see anything happen, but let's list it out. And as you see, you only see desktop. You do not see the desktop 2 directory, because you gave it the rmdir, remove directory command, and got rid of desktop 2. And so you're just back to the original directories that you had in here. So far, you've done a lot. You've learned how to list things out. You've learned how to clear the screen, print working directory to see where you're at, change directories, creating a file, deleting that file, creating a folder or directory, and deleting that said directory as well. So let's move on to our next command. I think this one's pretty cool. This one is if you are kind of wondering what a command does within Linux, you can simply ask Linux. You just use what is, and let's use pwd since it's already there, and I'm thinking of it top of my head. Somebody mentions pwd directory and you're not familiar, so you go, well, what is that? So again, you simply type what is, and then you type pwd, and Linux will literally give you a definition of what that command is. And it works for pretty much any Linux command. You can use it and ask what is ls, what is mkdir, and it will tell you, just as it did here when I asked it what is pwd. And so this says print name of current working directory, pwd. So that one's kind of cool, actually. Let's clear the screen because we're getting near the bottom. Okay, and this last command that I want to show you guys, it's pretty important if you are concerned about disk space or want to check your disk space, if you feel like things are filling up on your hard drive space for whatever reason. This will show you where you stand with that, and that command is pretty easy. It's just df, and that stands for disk free. Now, there are two parts to this. So if you hit df and hit enter, this will show you your free disk space, your used disk space, and stuff like that. But it does give it to you in 1K blocks. And so unless you are a super computer guru or really just know all this stuff in your head, it's kind of hard to read. Most people into computers read things in gigabytes, megabytes, stuff like that. So that's the second part of this. If you do df space -h, use the H flag, which stands for human readable. We'll go ahead and do that and hit enter. And now you see that it has taken this and converted it to gigabytes. It has taken this, converted it to megabytes, and so on and so forth. This just gives it a human readable view on that. So again, if you know how to read all this stuff, you're way better than I am. But if you want human readable, df -h flag is a little bit better for that. And as you can see, it will show you, in this directory, what is available, what is used, and so on and so forth. We won't go over all the meanings of all this stuff today. Again, maybe a future video. But yeah, that's a good way to read all of your disk space and where you stand on that. And so guys, that's pretty much it. Just the 10 Linux commands that I recommend that you learn. You will use them a lot. Let's go ahead and clear our screen. And so if any of this was helpful to you, please consider giving me a like, maybe subscribing. If you have any questions, please post them in the comment section below. I will try to get to them. Can't promise it, but I will do my best. I'm usually pretty good at that. But that's it, guys, and thanks for watching, and have a great night.